For most people, high school is a fun moment in their life. It is a time for kids to enjoy themselves, go out, have fun, not have to worry. But for me and the many others at Santa Fe High School, at Santa Fe, Texas, it was one of the worst and lowest days and moments in our life. The day started out like any other day. I woke up, brushed my teeth, got ready, and went to school. Things were winding down in the semester, so when I arrived at my first period math class, I was expecting a slow, boring day. Little did I know, the worst day of my life was about to begin. Things were quiet in my first period, till suddenly the fire alarm went off, sending loud, echoing rings throughout the school. A little dazed and confused, my class got up, went to the door, down the hall, down the stairs, and finally out the exit. Nothing seemed unordinary. And that's when I heard it. The gunshots. I realized this wasn't a fire drill. This was a school shooting. 10 people lost their lives that day. 2 teachers, 8 students, people that I knew, people that I'd gone to class with, people that were my friends, gone, killed. I remember finally arriving home and flipping on the news channel. Did you see the same thing? Every station, Santa Fe school shooting. Seeing your school from an aerial view plastered with the headline, school shooting, it just felt so unreal. You see stuff like this happen, but you never would expect it to happen to you until it does. I was so young, so innocent. I was 16 years old, a sophomore, and yet I was experiencing one of the worst tragedies a person could see. But what was most disturbing, seeing the body bag slide out front of my school, not knowing if it could have been someone I knew. In the aftermath of the tragedy, I didn't really know how to feel. Felt numb. It wasn't until days and weeks later that it finally started to sink in. What had happened? A deep sadness and pain and grief just fled over me, and I became consumed in my pain. In my grief, I isolated myself from my friends and family. Didn't know what to do. It only deteriorated and got worse as I sat with that thought, thinking about what happened. My parents tried desperately to help. I didn't want help. I wanted things to end. I didn't want to wake up to relive the same day, to be reminded what happened, to hear the sounds of gunshots and scream replay on repeat in my head over and over. I couldn't take it. If stuff like this happens and our lives are meaningless, all hope was lost. Or at least I thought. One day my mom came to me and she posed the question asking if I wanted to move schools to Danbury, a nearby school a couple towns over. I sat with that question for a while, playing out each scenario, seeing what that may look like. I was hesitant, unsure if I could even make that transition. What would that look like? I was afraid of people talking to me to bring up the memory in the past. But I couldn't live like this. I had to change. Moving schools, it could give me a fresh start, an opportunity to try again, to leave the past behind. And with that, there was hope again. Transferring schools was not easy, especially since where I'd come from. I remember walking into my classes and just feeling the weight of people's eyes staring me down. It was as if they knew who I was and what had happened. I was afraid to talk to people. I was afraid of the questions they would ask. I was lonely. But I knew I had to make a change. So impulsively, one day during lunch, I spotted this big group of table with all the guys, went over and sat down and introduced myself. I'm not gonna lie, it was very awkward. The new kid coming to sit with all the people. But I was at least able to establish myself, put myself out there and meet new people. Come to turn out, those would be some of my closest friends. That's where I came to meet Caleb, Jordan, Alex, Brett, Chase. All these guys I still talk to. They were there for me. They cared. They were loving. They were accepting. Another story I have is going to a girls' basketball game alone and sitting there and then being invited over by the group. I felt so excited. I was where I felt like I belonged. As the semester grew, our friendship only grew and the bonds with my friends flourished. It blossomed into this beautiful friend group. But things weren't all perfect. I felt like I was hiding a part of myself about what had happened at Santa Fe. Whenever people would ask me questions, I would usually just blow it off, try to bring up something new. I didn't want to talk about it. But one night, on a late night drive with my friend Caleb, I finally opened up. I told him my story. I told him how scared I was, how much chaos I felt, the thoughts in my mind. And I told him how alone I felt. I'll never forget what he said next. Because he said I wasn't alone, that I had him, that I had my new friends. I cried in his car that night, and with each tear, it felt like this weight being lifted off my shoulders. They were here for me. They were here to support and listen and care for me. When I first moved schools, when I first met my friends, they didn't have to talk to me. They could have blew me off. They didn't have to be nice, but they were. That courage and kindness they showed me is something I will never forget. I was a lost stranger to them, but yet they were kind and accepting. The love they showed me is something I will never forget, that I'll cherish for the rest of my life. The people at Danbury, they brought hope back in my life when I was at my lowest. Words can't express how grateful I am to them, to my friends, to my community. When I first moved schools, I was depressed and grieving, but I had hope. I had hope things could change, and they did. Meeting my friends, I was able to re-find that joy in my life, to get back to the things that I liked doing. They were there. They were supportive. Seeing stuff like this happen, it can corrupt you, can alter your mind. I was so young. I saw how evil and terrible the world could be in that moment. But I now see life as beautiful, as something we need to cherish, to try to spread love, hold on to that. I finally felt like I was healing. I was no longer depressed, and I was getting back to my old self. It's amazing. I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy to be where I am. I'm proud of what I've overcome. It's in these moments that teach us what life is really about. Each other, caring. But this story, it's not about me. It's about those who lost their life. It's about those like Jared Black, one of my friends killed during the shooting. One thing about Jared that I loved is that he was always smiling and was always so happy wherever he went. He just brought this energy that made people feel good. I heard Jared was killed. It It crushed me. Why him, of all people? Then I realized something. That he wasn't gone, that his memory was alive. It was alive within the people's lives that he's impacted. He may not be here on this earth, but his smile and laughter carries on with the people that knew him. It's the people like Jared and the others that lost their lives that day that inspire me to do better, that make me want to love, to care, to put the ego aside. But I'm not alone in my story, though. We've all faced tragedy. We've all faced grief. We all have trauma. Don't have to hold on to it. You can let it go, and it might be the hardest thing you've ever had to do in your life. But from that, you'll find purpose and meaning. See, pain can teach us. It can teach us to be more open, to be more caring, to put ourselves out there. And for me, it taught me to reclaim the joy in my life. Thank you.